I get a lot of questions on nutrition. This is mainly geared towards athletes. We'll have a lot of athletes say, what is going to help me as an athlete succeed during the season or longevity over my career? First and foremost, we have to understand that athleticism is not health. And what I mean by that is that we need to let go of this idea that we have to eat absolutely perfectly. Number one, depending on the athlete and depending on the sport, you need to consume a lot of calories. If I am someone who is very rigid and refuses to deviate away from just my fruits and vegetables, just my clean carbohydrates and good protein, a lot of us will wind up under-eating, and I mean grossly under-eating. And if I am someone who is under-eating, I would make the argument that that is just as limiting as it would be to someone who's eating just junk food. So let's give an example. If I have a general population client, a Gen Pop client come to me and say, hey, I really want to get healthy, I'm getting older, doctor said I needed to make some drastic changes in my life, we're going to say things like, let's focus on fruits and vegetable intake, let's focus on limiting carbohydrates, let's bring down some fats, let's make sure that we're getting adequate amounts of protein in. If I have an athlete come to me and they say, my only goal is to be a state champion this year, I am not starting that conversation out with, I want you to just focus on fruits and vegetables. I want you to make sure you're doing, you're avoiding all types of sugary foods and junk food, etc. Why? Because sugar is a performance enhancer. So instead, I might have a conversation with an athlete and say, hey, if we want to be a state champion, let's make sure that we're having some type of quick carbohydrate right after practice. So maybe it's a Gatorade, maybe it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, maybe it's some chocolate milk. All three of those examples, we could sit down and argue and say that's probably not the healthiest choice. We don't necessarily care about health, we care about performance when it comes to being an athlete. So some other big ones for athletes, make sure you're getting a lot of protein in you. This is a year-round approach. Make sure you're getting good carbohydrates in you. So this would be rice. I'm a big fan of white rice. You can get in things like pastas. Breads are okay. Don't believe the hype that bread is going to make you somehow a worse athlete. And then make sure you're managing good sources of healthy fat. So you're not going out and just eating processed garbage, a bunch of junk food. One thing I think that would help a lot of athletes is to understand what is and what is not a good means of protein. And so if you love peanut butter, and I'm sure you've seen the commercials that say peanut butter is a great source of protein, peanut butter is a great source of fat with some protein in it. We can turn to things like yogurt and some certain milks and we say that we're getting protein. Let's restructure our thought process and start looking at it in terms of legitimate sources of protein. So how do I know if it's a legitimate source of protein? Did it have a face? Did it have a mom? If it has either one of those, it's a great source of protein. If it doesn't, it's probably not. From there, once you start getting enough of protein that at one point had a mother, then you can start looking at things such as protein shakes, getting in some peanut butter, getting in some yogurt. But too many of us turn to the other things and forget the realm of what a good macronutrient actually looks like.